everybody, and welcome to the Bob Stoops app. It is week one in the world of college football, and we have some great games to talk about. But let's begin with the Oklahoma Sooners, as they will be kicking off year number 2 of the Brent Venables era at home against Arkansas State. Oklahoma favored by 35 points.
That's a lot of points. I don't care who you're playing, Brad, but I really just have a great feeling that the team, they're ready to have a really great year this year. Another year in this system, coaches all together with the same group of players. Dylan Gabriel, a year under his belt in this system with this new team, I think is going to make a difference. And I think some of the areas people are unsure about, where we don't have a ton of guys back, running back, maybe some wide receivers, maybe some positions on defense, where we've got young guys that are now ready to take over in those spots that are really strong players. And that usually happens with excellent recruiting. I think we've had excellent recruiting. And now these guys, and even though their names aren't popular yet, I believe they will be by the end of the year. So I really got faith that we're going to be a strong team.
Yeah, you talked about the running back room. Again, outsiders that are not around the program say question mark, question mark, question mark. But the people who have been to the practices say that could be the strength of the team.
I tell you what, I loved them when I watched practice several times here this past 3-4 weeks. DeMarco's coaching them up in a great, really strong, but they're big, strong, good-looking guys. When you get up next to DeMarco, you realize how big he is. When you stand there and talk with them, that none of these guys are looking up at DeMarco. These are some big athletic guys, and I'm optimistic. I think our offensive line's going to be outstanding. Receivers, I think new guys will step up to go with Drake and Jalil that are back, that have played a lot. We got Austin Stogner back, is going to make a difference. Dylan with more experience with these guys. Defensively, I believe our front seven is going to be stronger, much stronger than it was a year ago, and that matters. Some new young guys in the secondary, I think, are going to make a difference. So all of it together, I'm very optimistic.
Yeah, you've got to have depth, and of course you've got to have talent to have a great football team. I think Oklahoma has both of those things. And you talk about the defense. This is a night and day defense from last year.
Agreed, and really believe in their system. Ted Roof and being with Brent all these years, the two of them together, working the defense. And I think, too, what can be overlooked is Brent establishing his program. He walked into a really tough situation when Coach Riley left. That doesn't just go away in a few months. And he wants to establish his attitude, his way of doing things, his culture. And everyone's, we had a good culture. But Brent wasn't a part of it at this time. He's got to establish it now, and I believe he has. And I believe that's going to be a big factor. These guys now all have been together for going on 2 years. I think that's going to make a big difference as well.
Yeah, and he continues to bring in better talent, and I think that's a really important piece. You look at last year's recruiting class in the top 5. This year's looking like it's going to finish in the top 25, or not top 25, top 5. That matters, especially as you're getting ready for the SEC.
Absolutely, and I think the biggest part you're seeing, we're getting bigger, better, stronger front seven guys on defense. And that's, I had always said us with this transition to the SEC is going to help us recruit. Yep. And it is. And it's making a difference. And it's exciting. And I think it's going to help us.
Yeah, you can play for one of the Blue Bloods in the best conference in the land. Really exciting. All right, let's talk about some of the big games. A key one tonight, Florida at Utah. Cam Rising likely not to play for the Utes. Utes are still favored by 5 points in this game.
Yeah, back-to-back Pac-12 champs. It's hard not to like them. It's Florida. Billy Napier being down there. He's now in his second or third year. I want to say third year. But they have struggled some. I think without Anthony Richardson, that's going to hurt them. He was a big factor in winning that game a year ago. So Utah at home, I kind of still like Utah just because of the overall team and their success to win this game.
And a lot of returning starters for that Utah team. They're really, really good. I like them to win at home. I think that's the key here. All right, another big game that's going to be happening this weekend. LSU taking on Florida State in Orlando, Florida at Camping World Stadium. They played this game last year, and it went down to the wire. Could be the same thing again.
Heck of a game, you're right. Two really strong teams finished in the top 10 last year. Two great coaches, Brian Kelly and Mike Norvell. I'm a big fan of Mike Norvell at Florida State. I was glad to see them turn the corner last year and believe they're going to continue to do well. But interesting game. This is kind of hard to pick. Florida State beat them a year ago, but LSU got stronger last year by the end of the year. I'm going to go with LSU.
Yeah, and right now it is a 2.5-point spread. The LSU running back not supposed to play, but a lot of the insiders agree with you that LSU should win that game. I'm interested to see how the crowd is, and also the fact that LSU played in that same stadium not so long ago against Oklahoma in a close game. I just like the talent on LSU. I think there's better talent on LSU than FSU.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. Florida State, Mike Norvell has a few more years of establishing his program than Brian Kelly, only being there a year. But again, I agree with you that I think overall, I think LSU is a stronger team. They play in a stronger overall conference by anyone's account. So I really think in the end that'll make a difference.
And remember that same LSU team, they beat Alabama last year. All right, let's talk about some other games of interest. You have Virginia at Tennessee. Tennessee favored by a lot in this one, 28 points.
Yeah, you have to go with Tennessee. I would. Just their overall strength, the way they finished last year was excellent. Josh Heupel and their whole staff and program just continue to build. And, people you have to remember, too, they took over a program with these sanctions and these problems, and they're still overcoming them with the strong, great players they have and the way they're coaching them up. So I would, I'll be fair that I don't know enough about Virginia, but I do believe in the strength of Tennessee.
Yeah, I think it goes back to conference again, talent, a lot of talent there on that young Tennessee team. All right, Colorado at TCU. Of course, TCU played for the national championship last year against Georgia, a game they did not really show up and compliment Georgia. Colorado, whole new look. Deion Sanders really changed out the roster. A lot of excitement on the Colorado Buffaloes, but I think they're going to run into a big-time reality check in week one.
This is going to be interesting. I can't wait to watch this whole overhaul that Coach Prime or Deion Sanders has done there at Colorado. Going to be very interesting to see for me as a coach in a different way of redoing your roster, which is the new world here a little bit. Because it's all within the rules. So how will they that together as a team when they experience some adversity? How will they react with it? So that's going to be interesting to watch. It sounds like they've really built a strong roster though there at Colorado. So TCU, the fact that they just a playoff team a year ago, listening to Coach Dykes, Sonny Dykes, he feels optimistic they may be better than a year ago. So that's pretty strong. So I'd have to go with TCU here just with their continuity, having just had the success they've had, and so many question marks on how it's going to look at Colorado.
And really, Chandler Morris 3.0. You have a guy who started out at Oklahoma, was a vital person behind the scenes for the Sooners, for the scout team, transfers to TCU, wins the job. He was actually the starting quarterback last year, but because of injury, he did not play. Now he gets to come back again and use that athleticism. I think that's going to be a big difference maker for them.
Yeah, he has experience in their system, and that I say that, but Garrett Riley now is gone. So it is a new system. So that may be that'll going to be interesting to watch this year too, is the transition with offensive coordinators at TCU. But Chandler Morris has good experience definitely to start this year.
Yeah, the system always looks good when you have lots of talent around you. So we'll see how Chandler does there. All right, Ohio State at Indiana. This is a big point spread on the road in a Big Ten game to kick things off. 30 points. Ohio State is favored on the road.
Yeah, it's hard to pick against them. I'd go with Ohio State. They're so explosive and they just reload as opposed, they have so much talent on their team, and I think they do an incredible job coaching as well. So anyway, I'd go with Ohio State definitely.
And what was lost in the playoffs last year with Georgia's dominant performance against TCU was that Georgia was one play away from losing to Ohio State. A lot of talent back on Ohio State. Obviously, C.J. Stroud gone. They have named the new starter. A lot of talent on that roster, Coach.
And I'm betting in their locker room they know who the starter is, even though they don't want to let Indiana know. So, but anyway, they're a fun team to watch. I think they do an excellent job.
All right, a Big 12 rival in West Virginia on the road at Penn State. Penn State favored by 21 points. West Virginia actually picked at the bottom of the Big 12 this year. Yeah,
that'll be interesting. But I don't know why everyone's so down on West Virginia. I think Neil Brown and they always do a good job and win games people don't think they're going to. But is it at Penn State? You said
at Penn State.
Yeah, I'd go with Penn State. So I think the overall strength of the program is there.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think Neil Brown's a great coach. I think he's done a lot with a little over the last few years. They had some big upsets last year. I think Penn State's going to win at home. I just don't know about the 21 points.
That's a good point. Yeah, definitely.
All right, a rival game, North Carolina at South Carolina. North Carolina favored by 2.5, taking on Spencer Rattler and the Gamecocks.
That's a heck of a game, I think. Two really good quarterbacks. Drake May at North Carolina. Got to meet him at an event with Coach Spurrier last year. And great quarterback, in his return. But then Spencer Rattler really turned it on last year at South Carolina. Good for him, being that he was here for a while. Wonderful young man, so rooting for him. But two great quarterbacks going at it. And where'd you say the game's at?
The game is at South Carolina.
I'm going with South Carolina. Just overall, again, strength of the conference. South Carolina has done a great job a year ago, and so I'd go with South Carolina.
I agree with you. I'm surprised by the line that the road team is favored by 2 points. I like South Carolina to win that one. All right, that's the Week 1 predictions. It's going to be a lot of fun. You actually have an opportunity. If you look at the schedule a little bit further down, that first week in October, Oklahoma is going to be playing Texas. We're actually going to be doing the show live from the Norman Public Library at 11:30. So if you want to come on out, maybe meet Coach Stoops and say hi. We're going to be doing a nice function with the Norman Chamber of Commerce. If you want information on that, you can check out the Norman Chamber of Commerce website. That's going to be fun doing the show.
Looking forward to it. Absolutely.
Is that a big game? I don't remember. Is there a lot of attention to that game?
No doubt. Can't wait for it. But let's win these early ones first.
Amen. Remember, for videos anytime, just tap on our video link. For Hall of Fame football coach Bob Stoops, I'm Brad McMullen. Have a great weekend, everybody.